There we go. Playing the keys.
All Things Black with Garland and Calvin present Fanboys. Fanboys is a weekly breakdown of the sports world from a fan's perspective. Now, here are your hosts, Garland and Calvin.
All Things Black presents Fanboys. I'm Calvin, and the guy looking dapper in the Cosby sweater is Garland. What's going on, Garland? How are you, sir?
Well, what I want to say is, man, you just like Saturdays.
Why you say I'm like Saturdays? No class. You know, it's funny. We had a conversation about Cosby in the barbershop probably a couple weeks ago. And like I said, you know, Cosby, he did a lot, man. You know, I always forget Fat Albert. Fat Albert was actually educational. You had Fat Albert. You had the Cosby Show. You had A Different World. And he was saving HBCUs. He was giving major money to a lot of these institutions that are doing quite well now. But he did like the drug and rape women. So.
Apparently, he thought he was saving the hoes, too.
Save these hoes.
Like when he was walking by, he was like,
and then of course the bad side of we think of him, remember him for the pound cake speech.
All
that good stuff. He was in I Spy. That was a little before our time, but
let's
if you
do
had
it again.
Channel 45, Uptown Saturday Night. They are classics. They did a third one together too. What was that third one? It was Let's Do It Again, Uptown Saturday Night. A Piece of the Action. It was a piece of the action. I saw those at the Apollo Theater on Eden Street back in the day.
You going back.
But how did you forget? I mean, you mentioned Fat Albert, but the best part of Fat Albert was the Brown Hornet and Tweeter.
I was going to say his sidekick, Tweeter.
Hey,
man, you know.
Thank you for joining us. If you're watching YouTube, we are live on YouTube. Other than that, you can catch us on all the podcast platforms a little later.
Sorry, that was Bill Cosby, y'all. That wasn't me.
Hey, man. It's we're here on a Friday. It's actually a good time to be here. I mean, we're coming off of a big Ravens win, we're going to talk about that a little. But yeah, we're generally here on the weekends, and I am going to get this out sometime this evening, so y'all can check this out and you'll have it for the weekend. What we got going on today, Garland?
Hey man, we're going to talk some college sports. Jimbo Fisher, he got fired to go away, so he got some money going. He got a nice sweet buyout. James Madison, they're fighting to play in the bowl season. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Of course, we're going to talk some NFL. We're going to talk about our Ravens. Deshaun Watson's out for the season after winning that big game on Sunday. Of course, we're going to go into the Pigskin Pick'ems. Somebody's been doing quite well the last couple of weeks. I got to give him knowledge, but I am going to claim victory in one place, though. We're going to do our top five. End up with a little baseball, and then come on, yo. And so let's go ahead and get into it. And so let's go ahead back up to college football and Jimbo Fisher. He gets a sweet buyout in his firing coach Jimbo Fisher on Saturday morning, who, despite having a winning record, was not able to get the Aggies to the BCF playoffs. The move is expected to cost the school more than $76 million to buy out Fisher's deal. According to the terms of the contract, Texas A&M will owe Fisher $19.2 million within 60 days, and then pay him $7.2 million annually through 2031. And there's no offsets or mitigations on those payments, and the annual payments start 120 days after his termination. And so several names have been mentioned as potential candidates for this job, one of them being our boy Subprime Sanders. Would Subprime be an excellent hire for this job?
Not in Texas, he wouldn't. Not down in Texas, you're not. And I think he knows that. And plus, I I really think he wants to do a little more at Colorado. He could be wrong because, you know, he as Garland would put it, he will jump ship in a minute because he don't care about the kids. But yeah, so Texas is, especially going in with the expectations that they have, like they're going to be looking to compete against the Alabamas and the Georgias of the world, and they just may not have it yet. So, but I don't even want to talk about who the candidates is. Parents, raise your kids to be D1 college coaches. This man is owed $70-something million, and as Garland said,
$76 million.
It's not mitigated or anything. So if he gets another job, they still have to pay him. And this is to 2031. He has 7 more years of getting paid to be fired. Raise your kids to be college coaches, D1 college coaches, because that's where the money is. If they're not going to be D1 college coaches, make them contract lawyers, because someone had to negotiate that contract for him also.
His agent, Jimmy Sexton, got him that deal.
It's like, it's something about these college coaches that, and NFL coaches do it too. They sign these contracts where the players aren't getting guaranteed money in the NFL. Deshaun Watson got all the trash for being guaranteed, and he didn't deserve it. But the coaches don't deserve it either, but they get it. When these coaches get fired, they are still getting paid. What's the guy that came after Harbaugh in San Francisco? What's his name? Tom Sula? Tom
Sula.
And they fired him after his first year, but they still owed him like 6 or 7 years of millions. We need to raise these babies to be head coaches somewhere.
Well, we're just raising them to be the athletes. I mean, I know when I was growing up, we never thought on the sports side that there were more opportunities than just playing. You know, you always just think, you know, you want to be the star, you want to be a baseball player, you want to be football, basketball, but you never thought about, man, you know, how much, you know, does management make?
Exactly.
You know, is there judges and management, coaching? All of those things. We've always been
training, trainers, scouts. Yeah. You know, these are things that are good livings. I mean, you may not be making the money as LeBron or anything, but this is a good living. Like you can pay your bills and then some, and you travel with this type of money.
Right, definitely. So yes, he's getting $19.2 million within 60 days, like I said, and then they're going to pay him $7.2 million annually for the next 8 years.
Good gracious.
Yeah. And those payments start 120 days after termination. So he's good. He doesn't necessarily need to go out and look for a job right now. And if he gets another one, he's going to be very paid. So,
and when they hire a new coach, when they hire a new coach, they're going to have to pay him some millions. So you wonder why there was such a big fight of why aren't these kids getting paid to play in these colleges? Look at the money, how long this college money is. And they do this knowing what's going to happen. It's not like it's a surprise that they continue to pay them. And this isn't the first coach. It definitely won't be the last coach. The NIL is one thing, but the colleges really need to start kicking out some of this money to these student athletes.
Right. That's where I was getting ready to go. Anytime a school can pay a man $19 million after 60 days and then pay him $7.2 million for the next 8 years and not employ him a total of $76 million, you can pay the players. NIL was easy because it took the responsibility off of the school, it took the responsibility off of the NCAA. And so there are billions of dollars in this sport that can be found, that can pay the players, but you know, it's not happening. And so, this definitely, if I was a player, this would definitely perk up my ears like, whoa, they got 76 million just to go ahead. They just woke up and say, hey, this ain't working. Go ahead and give them the 76.
Exactly.
That's basically what they said. This ain't working. We tried it for a couple of years and it ain't working. Let's go ahead and give them the 76 million. They ain't fighting it. They ain't trying to admit it.
He don't have to sign up for unemployment or nothing.
Nothing. So now James Madison is fighting to play in the bowl games this year. One of the biggest stories that's not being covered on the major platform for college football this year is James Madison University. They're 10-0 and they're ranked 18th in the latest AP poll. And they're in their second year of transition from FCS division to a FBS division. And because of this, they're not allowed to participate in any postseason games. The state of Virginia's attorney general has threatened legal action if their exclusion from bowl consideration in 2023 is not reversed. And so, should JMU be given a waiver to play in the bowl?
Yeah, man. So it's so weird because you would think that the NCAA would want them to play in the bowl. Like, I mean, they're an undefeated team right now. They definitely qualify, but they can't because they moved from a lower division to a higher division. Like, it just it doesn't seem to make sense. A lot of these NCAA rules are just archaic and old, but this is one that they can absolutely change. And they're not the only school. I think Jacksonville or either Jackson State, I'm not quite sure which one is applying to this.
Jacksonville, I don't think it's Jackson.
And then there's another school doing the same thing. So they moved up and they're not allowed to play. I mean, let them play. Like, I don't understand the harm that it's going to do. Now, they do have a way in if they cannot find, because there's 41 bowl games. If they cannot find 82 qualified teams, which you have to have at least 6 wins, then they will let them play. So that is their way in. But they should automatically be in. I mean, they're an undefeated team right now, so they should automatically have some consideration to a bowl.
I agree with you. Yeah, these rules are just dumb. These are old rules in the sport. I mean, we see how long it took them to even create a transfer portal of giving people the opportunity to transfer and play immediately. They were making people sit out a whole season for transferring, but the schools controlled if they wanted to keep the players or not keep them on scholarship. These guys are balling. They're 10-0. Give them a chance to go to the Weed Eater Bowl or the what in the bowls. I mean, let them go to the little bowl, get their little life on.
Exactly.
They're not going to be Georgia. They're not going to be Alabama. They're not going to be Michigan. They're not going to be Ohio State.
Get them in the Utz Bowl. There's a Utz potato chip bowls out there somewhere.
The Mayonnaise Bowl, the Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl. Let them go to the Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl. So their coach can get some mayonnaise poured on them, like Loxley got mayonnaise poured on him the other year.
Get him in the Keith Lee Bowl. It's going to be a lot of food trucks and small businesses struggling there. That'll help get them some business in the Keith Lee Bowl.
Yeah, so give them a chance. I mean, hey, if a 6-6 team can go, let a 10-0 team.
Exactly.
Maryland is bowl eligible. They're going to somebody's bowl this year, and
barely
they don't deserve it.
Barely.
They're going, but a possible undefeated team is not, and so.
Now we say all this, and then they're gonna get in the bowl and they're gonna be matched up with Maryland and whip Maryland ass, and they shouldn't have been allowed in that motherfucker bowl anyway. I'm gonna be mad.
Crazy. Anyway, so all right, so let's go ahead and transition to the NFL, man. Let's talk about our Ravens. Last week or earlier this week, I won't say last week, earlier this week, Calvin, the sky was falling. I mean, you would have thought that the Ravens were 0-8 or 0-9. You would have thought that Lamar was the worst quarterback ever, that the team was just in total disarray. I mean, I never seen so many Lamar's dumb posts. And I mean, this is coming from national pundits and local ones too. Lamar, he's a step slow. He can't think anymore. He can't read the defense anymore. It's slow on the defensive end. Man, but hey, like they say, winning is the best deodorant. And so they came home with a tough 3-game stretch. I know when we were talking about it, we were saying that if they got at least 2 out of the 3, that would be great. I know I was saying if they got the 2 division games out of the 3, I would be very happy. And so they wound up doing well after losing Sunday 31-30 on a last-second field goal to the Cleveland Browns. And they really got outplayed in that game in the trenches. And Calvin was there sipping wine, so I'm sure he'll give us more of what he saw.
So wrong.
They were able to come back on Thursday night with a decisive win. I mean, I didn't like that last touchdown they gave up. I just think after, they just was like, all right, just let them go ahead. Just,
I needed that for my fantasy team. They put the clamps on Jamar Chase. I needed that.
Yeah, I did not want to see him in the end zone, but they beat a Joe Burrow who played the first quarter and then had a mysterious
first half. Injury. He played the first half.
Excuse me, the first half. Then had a wrist injury. They beat the Bengals 34-20. And so, what is some of your thoughts about these last two games in particular? Two division games. Ravens are 8-3. They play one game over the next 2 weeks. They get a mini bye this week. Then they play the Chargers on Sunday Night Football, and then they get their bye after that. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, breaking news. I don't know if you heard, but Joe Burrow has been ruled out for the season. It was actually a finger injury, apparently. But yeah, he's been ruled out for the season. They just reported it maybe about 20 minutes before we came on. So yeah, he's ruled out for the season. Listen, let me first of all. And I must say this, and I said it on social media, and I must say it again, especially for you Raven haters and you Bengal fans. I'm not trying to hear that shit today that the Ravens won because Joe Burrow wasn't there. I'm not trying to hear it because when you all had to play Tyler Huntley the last two games last year, y'all asses ain't say nothing. Y'all ain't give us no grace. So you play with the hand that you are dealt. I'm not trying to hear that shit at all. Y'all, you lost. You got your asses kicked. I'm not trying. And then don't even give me that referee shit. Oh, the referees were horrible because they were, but they were horrible for both teams. And you think that you would have won if the referees were better? We would have had a Zay Flowers 80-something yard touchdown if the referees knew what the fuck they were looking at. So don't give me none of that. I don't want to hear no excuses on why the Ravens won. Lamar Jackson is 8-1 versus the Cincinnati Bengals. As we've always said, the Bengals cannot beat the Ravens when Lamar Jackson is on the field. All right. Now that I got that out the way. Shout out to the fans. Do you know how many delayed games we had back there? Do you know how many? They had to call 2 timeouts in the first half, use 2 of their 3 timeouts because they couldn't hear the play going in. They were trying to switch the play. The fans did it up, man. The fans did it up. Congratulations to the fans. The atmosphere was rocking, probably the most rocking atmosphere that I've seen, and I've been to quite a few evening games. Big Boy was rocking. I don't even know half his song, and he was out there rocking. Him and Sleepy Brown was giving it up. It was a great atmosphere, and the Ravens, they lost Mark Andrews early, and we all were just, oh my God, like we were all just, we were scared. But Odell showed up. Zay showed up. The running game showed up. Lamar played one of the best games I've seen him play in his career. It was great. Now, let me transition back to the Cleveland game. Everyone wants to know who's to blame. Is it the offense? Is it the defense? You know, the offense scored. They didn't score over 30 because of the touchdown that the defense had, but they scored a significant amount of points. The defense gave up a significant amount of points. You know, you got to get to Deshaun Watson, and we'll talk about him some more. You got to get to him. They couldn't bring him down. He went 14-14 in the second half. There's enough blame to go around.
Throwing with a broken bone in the shoulder.
There's enough blame to go around. We talked about special teams a little last week. I said, you know, the punting game was doing well, but special teams has been pretty average, if not less. They had a blocked field goal attempt. Like, it's just, there were so many things that happened, just a collection of misfortune that ended up the Ravens giving up a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter. But they turned it around. They're a resilient team. You're going to lose some games you're not supposed to lose. Unfortunately, the Ravens have lost 3 that they shouldn't have lost. They literally could be 11-0. At the least, they should be 10-1 right now. But, you know, it's what it is. We're looking forward. Next up, San Diego. And, you know, when we end this podcast, you Bengal fans may want to still talk about the game, but we've already moved on to the Los Angeles Chargers. So y'all go ahead and knock yourselves out and figure out who you're going to have quarterback this moving forward.
You know what? I'm a be a little different on this. We should have, would have, could have won stuff. You win the games you win, you lose the games you lose, and that's it.
I'll
It's
take that.
this is the
Yes.
NFL. I understand that teams, it's an ebb and flow to performance and how teams play. And then on any given Sunday, I know that's cliche, but it's true. You can lose against a team that you should dominate normally. And games, particularly talking about the Browns game, they got thrashed in the run. I mean, defensively, they were not able to get off the field once they really started dedicating to running the ball. Um, they were having some mix up in the coverages in the back end that you had Amari Cooper open a lot in the middle of the field. They could not stop the tight end and Juku. And so yeah, they were just having a rough day getting three and outs. They could not. I remember, all right, when Odell Beckham scores on that crossing pattern, we're up two scores. They came down and had a 17 play drive and they just rammed it down the defense's throat. I think, that not having a bye was finally catching up with them. And I think it even showed a little bit last night. I think, I'm not going to say it was luck because Barrow was out. I think they still could have won that game with Barrow playing. But defensively, they have not been as crisp as they were in the Detroit game, and even I'll say the Cardinals game, because the Cardinal game was a little fluky, and in the Seattle were super sharp defensively. You couldn't do anything against them. But those last couple games, I mean, they really struggled to get three and outs and get off the field. And so I think this is a good time for this mini bye. It gives bodies an opportunity to rest up a little bit. Then you play on Sunday night under the lights. They tend to do well in primetime games. And then you get another whole week off. And so, it's the right timing for them to get that break, to get that bye, and then get ready for that last half of the season. And they got some tough hoe in the head. You got 49ers, you got Rams, you got Steelers, which is probably going to be for the division. My goal, I wanted them to sweep at least one team in the division and maybe split with the others. And I thought that would put them in good position to win the conference or the division. And they did just that. I didn't expect them to sweep the Bengals. I thought that
I
maybe it was
did.
the Browns. You did? Okay.
Remember, I told you I didn't think the Bengals was going to make the playoffs. Book it. I said that from the beginning of the season.
That. I picked three teams from the AFC North to make the playoffs. The Bengals were one of them. And so I may have to go back and rebut. But then again, I don't know what's going to happen with Cleveland. Our boy Joe Flacco was on his way up there to see if they could sign him.
I don't want them signing Joe. Joe is elite.
You want to see Joe out there?
Joe is elite. I don't need that. They might take Cleveland over the top. Joe is elite. Y'all know Joe is elite.
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. So, yeah, Joe might end up there. So we'll see what happens. But to me, good homestand. 2-1. You come out there winning. You get a break. Sunday night game in a week and a half, and then another break. And then you go out and close out. And I think out of those, 4 or 5 games left in the season, I think at least 3 of them are at home. So they're good. I think the Christmas game is in San Francisco or San Jose with the 49ers, but I believe the rest of the games are at M&T. So that might just be 4 games and 1 on the road. So they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, after that bye, they come home for the
I forgot all
Rams
about the
and then the Dolphins. They play them at home.
And then they get Niners on the road, and then they come back, and I think they close out with Steelers at home, right?
We owe the Dolphins an ass whipping.
Yeah,
we owe them.
We do. Deshaun Watson it was announced on Wednesday that he's out for the season. They announced that the Browns did announce that their franchise quarterback will undergo season-ending surgery to repair a fracture in his throwing shoulder. And the team doctors determined Watson needed immediate surgery to avoid further structural damage. And so where would you place the Browns' chances of making the playoffs now without Deshaun?
First of all, to hell with Deshaun Watson and the Browns. You knew before the Ravens game that you needed surgery. At halftime, you had to bring PJ Tucker Washington, whatever his name is. You had to bring him in to play the last couple of downs, and then you're going to come back
Carlissimo.
You're going to come back broke up and beat my Ravens in the second half. Yo,
14 for 14.
Man, fuck Deshaun Watson and the Browns.
Deshaun Watson as a Brown is undefeated against the Ravens.
I actually, that's right, because he didn't play the first game last season, but he did play the second game. That's right. As a Texan, though, he's winless. When he's a Texan, he's winless against the Ravens.
But as a Brown, he's undefeated.
To be very honest, I actually have Cleveland, and we'll do this in our picks, but I have Cleveland over the Steelers this week. I have Cleveland in their rookie quarterback over Pittsburgh this week.
Save it so I can scrutinize it for later. Don't try to sneak it in there. Save it. Save it so we can go through it.
You already know what it is. What am I up to? I'm up to. But anyway.
Up to you. I'm about to come back. I'm about to show the biggest comeback. You think the Ravens been blowing games?
I actually think the Browns do have a good chance of still making the playoffs, only because the division is down, and I'm not a Pittsburgh believer. It's got to catch up to them at some point. And what I'm talking about, if you don't know, is they have been outgained in the first 9 games of the season. Like, how they're keeping up this pace is just a testament to Mike Tomlin. But at some point, it's going to have to catch up to him. And I think it's going to start this week. So I have the Browns with a good chance of still making the playoffs. Of course, not winning the division. I think that this Ravens win over Cincinnati pretty much solidified it for us. But
what's Tomlin's record against rookie quarterbacks?
It ain't as good as it ain't as good as our guys, John Harbich.
So we'll see. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, to me, it just showed this guy balled out on Sunday. I mean, and he was playing on one ankle because he had the high ankle sprain. That Toradol is a miracle worker. They went in and they shot him up because there's no way.
There's no way.
There's no way. He's playing on a high ankle sprain and has a fractured bone in his throwing shoulder, and he's doing all that stuff. I mean, he was breaking tackles. He was scrambling. Ain't no way. And so
they had one of the assistants. They had one of the assistants run over to Lexington Market and get some hair on. Got some hair on and shot him up. He was nodding. He was out there nodding out. Could have been some methadone.
They don't let them junkies back in Lexington Market anymore.
They sitting outside. I was up there the other.
They sit outside. They ain't inside.
They still outside. They like this. We out.
Yeah, they used to call it methadone.
We outside. That's how they. We out.
We outside, bro. They used to call it Methadonia, and it's so crazy.
I've never heard that.
You never heard it called Methadonia? Yeah, that's what it was called, Methadonia. Yeah, that's what they used to call it in drug rehab speak, Methadonia. Yeah, that heroin, boy. If you ain't never seen heroin, come to Baltimore. And I'm serious. I was driving to work the other day, and white woman going through East Baltimore, East 22nd Street, dancing, and then all of a sudden she stopped and paused like she was like doing slow motion.
She would see.
Then she started dancing again.
That's because she was listening to Can't Touch This. She was like, stop. Have a time.
Yeah. You want to see heroin? Come to Baltimore. And so since he signed that $230 million deal, Watson has only played a total of 12 games. So Cleveland, keep on winning, baby. And so we see what happens, but he gamed out. And so let's go ahead, man. Let's get into these pigskin picks because, I started off with a lot of fire. Tell
the people where we stand. We don't need no excuses. Tell the people where we stand. We don't need no preamble. None of that. Well,
let me do the preamble.
No, I don't need no preamble. We don't need your what do they call it in writing the forward? We don't need a forward with you. No, we don't need none of that. Tell the people where we stand.
See, I started off strong. And then somewhere along the way, the enemy crept in.
Not the enemy, so I'm the ops now.
Yeah, the ops. My ops got in. Calvin had a good week last week, y'all. He picked 10 games. I only picked 8. And so he's up by 360 to 57.
Wait, I'm up by 3? Oh, son, it's over. It's over.
Nah, it ain't over.
It's over.
You think the Ravens be giving up leads?
You are on the ropes. Miles Lane is looking at you like this. Stay over there, Calvin. One. Stay over there. 2.
Is this knockout where I get up and like, what? You never can knock out Mike Tyson in that game.
It is. Oh, unless you busted Douglas. I shook up the world. I told you.
That's crazy. I saw that fight live. And yeah, I will never forget it. Anyway, all right, so let's go ahead. Last week, Calvin hit on the Bears, the Colts, the Texans, Bucks, Niners, Cardinals. You called that. That was your upset special.
And the Texans was my upset special. Texans over Bengals.
Yeah, you called that as well.
Cardinals over. Who did I pick the Cardinals over? Saints. Falcons. Cardinals over Falcons. What was the Monday night game?
Monday night game.
No, the Sunday night game.
The Sunday night game was the Jets and Raiders, and the Raiders won that. Am I correct?
Oh, we both called that, and we both called the Monday night game. Yeah, okay.
Because the Raiders are feeling good right now.
Okay.
And so and so we, I got the Colts. We both picked the Colts. I picked the Steelers over the Packers.
I should have won that game. Packers should have won that game. I should have gone undefeated. Packers won that game. Packers should have won that game.
Woulda, shoulda, dulda. And we both lost out on the Ravens. And so we both picked Thursday night's games successfully this week. So we start off as winners. We both picked the home team, the Ravens. And so let's go ahead and get into our picks. You already said that you're taking the Browns over the Steelers.
I am taking Browns over Steelers.
I'll put that in. I'm taking the Steelers, although they're on the road against a rookie quarterback that played horrible against the Ravens. I'm going to take the Steelers.
He didn't have time to. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to go through my line of thinking.
All right,
Browns.
The Bears, they visit Detroit to play the Lions.
All right, give me the Lions.
Your boy is coming back. You're taking the Lions.
Yeah, it ain't
although
even.
Your boy is coming back.
Yeah, it don't matter. It ain't going to be. It don't matter.
Chargers, they are in Green Bay to take on the Packers.
Yeah, so you know how I feel about Brandon Staley. We actually need the Chargers to win this game so they can go into Sunday night feeling good and they can get their asses whipped. I'm gonna take the Chargers over Packers, even though they're going to Lambeau Field.
Okay, I'm going to take the Packers, and I'm taking the Lions. I don't know if I said I was taking the Lions in the last.
Wait a minute.
I'm taking. Yeah,
you got an upset special this soon?
Yeah, this soon. I don't trust the Chargers. I definitely don't trust them up in the cold, out in the elements. No, I don't trust them.
Okay.
And in the words of Public Enemy, can't trust it.
Okay. We find out you got the Jordan Loves.
All right, Raiders, they are in Miami to take on the Dolphins. Does they happy party in?
Yeah. I'm gonna take the Dolphins. I kind of wanted to take the Raiders, but I think I think this is going to be the first loss of the new coaching regime, of the new interim coaching regime. Give me the Dolphins.
Yeah, Dolphins normally beat up on teams that are under 500, and the Raiders are just at 500, so it might be a test, but they're going to blow them out probably. And talk about blowouts and bad teams. The Giants are in DC to play the Commanders.
Yeah, this is definitely the Doo-Doo Brown Bowl.
Doo-Doo Brown.
But I do believe in Sam Howell more than I believe in what's his name, Louis De Palma, whoever's quarterbacking for the Giants. I'm gonna take the Commanders.
Danny DeVito. I'm gonna take the Commanders as well. Cowboys, they are in North Carolina getting some chopped pork and some collards, and in the meantime, they're gonna play the Panthers as well.
So I'm going to take the Cowboys, but I'm going to tell you the Panthers are going to make a game out of it. It's not going to be as easy as most people would think.
Did you see that Bears game?
I'm trying to tell you.
Did you see that Bears game?
Listen to what I'm telling you. The Cowboys will win.
Man. They got the new little man on their team.
The Cowboys will win, but it won't be.
Little man.
It won't be easy. It won't be the blowout everyone thinks it's going to be.
Bryce Young is the new little man. That's the new little man. He could barely see over the line. I was like, oh my God, he's having a major struggle trying to throw the ball. I mean, I'm sure they're glad they took. I'm sure they're mad that they did not take CJ Stroud. But yeah, your man, he's something. Anyway, so Titans, they are in Jacksonville, which was the biggest disappointment last week. They got
not for me.
They got the brakes beat off of them.
I tried to tell you.
That time you tried to tell me that was.
I tried to tell you, 49ers are back.
They're back, and so you taking the Titans over the Jags, or you taking the Jags at home?
Absolutely not. I'm taking the Jags. The Titans aren't the 49ers.
All right, Cardinals. I'm taking the Jags as well. Cardinals. They are in Houston to play the Texans. Little man. He had a good game last week. He had a game-winning scramble that set up the game-winning field goal.
I tried another one. I tried to tell you. But who are they playing again?
Texans.
Yeah, they're not winning. They're not beating CJ Stroud and the boys. Texans they got weapons everywhere. Give me the Texans.
All right, I'm taking the Texans as well. The Bucks, they are in San Francisco to play the Niners. Niners look real good. The boy Purdy, he got his magic dust back because all his players are back.
His magic dust by the name of Deebo Samuel, right. Brandon Ayuk, Trent Williams. That's right. Magic dust. Give me the 49ers.
All right. I'm taking the Niners as well because I'm trying to come back. So I ain't doing no exotic picks from here on out.
You can't come back. You can't come back being conservative.
Okay.
Stop biting.
Don't try to talk me. Don't try to talk me.
That's what you're trying to do to me. Listen, if you go back and listen to the record, Garland was like, "Oh, I like this. Go on ahead. Keep doing it. That's going to help me come back and win."
All right. Anyway, all right. Jets Bills. Now this one's a little bit more difficult. Did the Jets win? No, they lost the first game. No, they won the first. That was the opening game. That's where Aaron Rodgers tore his ACL, and they're talking about he might come back in December. And so they're up in Buffalo for this game. The Bills season's just about almost over. Big loss on Monday night to the Broncos. Who you taking?
No, who you taking? Let me see what you do.
You want to know who I'm taking?
You
want to know who I'm taking?
Yeah.
I'm taking the Bills at home.
Absolutely, because although I think Josh Allen is going to throw a couple more interceptions because of the Jets defense, but Zach Wilson is horrible. I'll take the Bills.
He's horrible. All right, the Seahawks are in LA to take on the Rams.
Give me the Seahawks.
All right. Man, all of our picks are the same.
No, all of your picks are the same. When I'm in the lead, that means your picks are the same.
You're copying all of my picks. All right.
I'm picking first. How am I copying yours?
The Vikings are in Denver taking on the Broncos. Big game, a big win last week for the Broncos. And Josh Dobbs, he's doing the thing up in Minnesota. I doubted him, and he's gotten on a good team, and he looks good.
I was about to say Josh Dobbs embarrassed both of us last week because we were both like, he can't keep this up. No. He can't keep this up. There ain't no way.
So
wait a minute.
Take Russ at home?
Didn't I pick Russ last week to beat the Bills?
No, you picked.
You sure about that?
I'm positive. We both took the
I probably would have picked the Bills. Wow. So I'm just afraid to doubt Josh Dobbs right now. That's the only thing. Like, jeez. Where's the game being played?
Denver.
You know what? I'm gonna just go ahead and go with the Sierras. Let's go with the Sierras.
Oh, okay, all right. He's stepping out, y'all. Okay, he gonna do the exotic pick. I'm gonna take the Vikings.
Ain't neither one of the picks exotic, to be very honest. Like, just
big Monday night game. The Eagles, they travel to KC. They're gonna get some barbecue there, and they're playing the Chiefs at home. Chiefs defense is better than the offense this season, and is that a good enough defense to stop our boy Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith and AJ Brown and oh yeah, that's right. And they went and got big boy too. What's his name? The wide receiver that used to play for the Falcons. He went to Alabama too. Oh my God. He was on the Titans last year. But go ahead with your pick. Why?
Yeah. I don't think the Chiefs can score enough points on the Eagles defense. So I'm going to take Philly. Oh, that's right. They did sign Julio. I don't think the Chiefs can score enough points on the Eagles defense. So I'm going to go ahead and take Philly in this one.
All right. So let's run here and run through these picks. You say you're taking the Eagles on this one?
Eagles.
I'm sorry, Eagles. I just want to make sure. All right. So here we go. All right, Browns. Calvin's taking the Browns over the Steelers. I'm taking the Steelers. Lions, we both take over the Bears. We split on Chargers, Packers. Calvin's taking the Chargers. I'm taking the Pack. We both take the Dolphins over the Raiders. The Commanders over the Giants. The Boys over the Panthers. The Jags over the Titans. Texans. Niners over Bucks. Bills over Jets. Seahawks, Sea Chickens over the Rams. And we split on Vikings, Broncos. Calvin's taking the home team Broncos. I'm taking the Vikes. And we both picked Eagles over Chiefs. So we'll see what happens next week, y'all. I'm telling y'all, I'm coming back like Jordan in the 4-5. Coming back. But I do have one thing that I did win in terms of a matchup with Calvin. I won our fantasy football matchup this past week. And so we have a fantasy league, all things black, Fanboys Fantasy League. And here come the boom lost to That's So Baltimore Ravens. And so I
Garland has PTSD from that time we broadcasted, and I put up the score of me beating him in fantasy football that week. Do you remember that week? I threw that up there on the screen.
Putting up stuff and all this, that, and the other. Like, what the what?
Listen, Garland won, but that league is you just got to make the playoffs in that league. I'm not worried about it. The big deal is Garland's team got eliminated in the Guillotine League for the $900, and I'm still alive.
Yeah. It's funny how the guy that organized the league is still alive in the league. I won 117 to 100 over Here Comes the Boom. So I won. Just period.
Last year in Guillotine, I was eliminated early. So just because I organized it don't mean nothing. And I might be in trouble this week because I had Todd Heap and Jamar Chase starting. And Todd Heap got me for Todd Heap. Mark Andrews and Jamar Chase starting. Mark Andrews only got me 4 points. He had the 2 catches before he went out with his injury. And Jamar Chase only had 1 reception until the touchdown. And so he only got me 9 points. So I'm in trouble in the Guillotine League. I'm in trouble. I got 13 points between two people.
Let's see.
I do. I always do. I do.
I'm erasing the app off my phone. I just be so mad now. I just like the app is asleep now. I'm not even going to reload it. I'm just going to let it die. I don't care about that. I lasted real long last year in that league, and this year.
And last year I didn't. I was already gone by this week. Last year, I think I got bumped in week 6 last year.
Yeah, this is a mess. Anyway, I don't want to think about that because I ain't been in that league for a while, so I ain't paying attention. Let's talk some baseball real quick. The A's, they get the okay to bounce, and so Major League Baseball owners voted Thursday to allow the Oakland Athletics to move to Las Vegas. paving the way for the second relocation of a baseball team in the past half century. So, Calvin, this is a little trivia. Who was the last team that relocated prior to the A's?
Oh, good question. So I know that the Angels didn't actually relocate, but they changed their city affiliation because they used to be the Los Angeles Angels and they became the California Angels. The last baseball team to relocate. Give me a second. It had to be the Montreal Expos that became the Washington Nationals.
Good job.
I did not look it up. I didn't look it up. I didn't look it up.
It was the Montreal Expos. You're correct. Congratulations to Oriole winners. Orioles manager Brandon Hyde. He was named American League Manager of the Year on Tuesday. Under Hyde, the Orioles orchestrated one of the most impressive two-season turnarounds in Major League Baseball history. And also Arizona Diamondbacks outfielder Corbin Carroll and Baltimore Orioles shortstop Gunnar Henderson won the Rookie of the Year honors on Monday. Only the fifth time both league winners have been unanimous. Henderson, who helped lead the Orioles to a 101-61 record this season and American League East title. And he becomes the Orioles' first Rookie of the Year since Greg Olson in 1989. And so shout out to them. And also shout out to Shohei Ohtani, who repeats as American League MVP. And radio today, I think the Angels have won out of the last 10 MVPs. They've won 5 of them between Ohtani and Mike Trout, and they have not been to a World Series. So MVP
shade
doesn't mean a lot.
Shade.
Yeah, a lot of shade right there. So any words of wisdom for the Orioles? Any shout outs you want to do to Gunnar and Brandon? I know they're listeners of the show.
No, well, not to them. I'm going to do a shout out to Cedric. Cedric was at the game last night.
Yes,
he was an honorary captain. Yeah, so shout out to Cedric for being there and showing Baltimore love.
How come he didn't have the black jersey on? How come he had the purple jersey?
They got on him in the pregame interview. They were like, it's supposed to be black, right? And he had the purple on him. By the way, there were a lot of y'all that didn't follow the instructions. The instructions was a blackout. A lot of y'all came in y'all purple. And I mean, all right now, just what you could have wore a black t-shirt and just written Ravens on it. Something. Just pay attention.
Pay attention. So we're at the favorite part of the show that everyone loves. Come on, yo. And so I'll go ahead. I'll jump out there first because I think you went first last week. So I'll jump out first. Calvin, since the pandemic, and I wonder if a lot of people remember that about 3 years ago, we were all locked in the house, scared for our lives, not knowing what was going to happen. Since the pandemic, we have seen the growth of podcasts and internet shows. I mean, this is one of them. Featuring former, but we're not former professional players, but former and current professional athletes. You have NFL players like Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco, and there are a whole lot of basketball players that have shows as well. And one of the most popular broadcasts features former NBA guard Gilbert Arenas and his show Gil's Arena, and it has over 300,000. That comes on YouTube and all the other platforms. On a past episode, Arenas, he stated that Bill Russell was not a top 10 player. And this has been this trend I've been seeing about these current players making these ignorant comments about players that played in the 60s and 70s. And so here Arenas said that, Russell, he could not score 20 against the white people. And so now Russell, who's the holder of the most championships by an individual player, which was 11,
easily
first black coach in any professional sport, first black head coach in any professional sport, baseball, football, basketball. Bill Russell was the first black coach on the professional level. He was a civil rights leader who, along with Jim Brown, led a players' coalition to support Muhammad Ali's refusal to be drafted into the armed services. Now, when I think about Gilbert Arenas, he has never won anything in his life. He was able to get one of the richest contracts in the NBA. And what did he do, Calvin? He flamed out due to injuries and bringing guns into the locker room to confront a teammate. Outside of running his mouth on the internet, no one is mentioning Gilbert Arenas in the top of nothing. There are no trophies named after him, but the MVP trophy is named after who? Bill Russell. And so we need to better educate these people. It's like Russell and these other players, they paved the way for clowns like Gilbert Arenas to play in the league. And so, come on, yo, shut up. I understand you want to get clicks and you're trying to get people to the show. And so you say stuff and you put the little clips out and people see the clips and they come and they watch the full episode. But if you claim that you are a basketball historian and you know all about basketball and skill, there's no way you can ever say out of your life that Bill Russell was not a top 10 player for his time. Now, will he be a top 10 player in today's game? Possibly, you never know. But he was definitely an icon in his day, and he's still an icon today as well. So come on, yo. Stop all this dumb stuff about who's good and who couldn't play in today's game. We know comparing errors don't really work.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And so besides him paving the way for NBA players, black NBA players, besides him taking all these bullets off the court, besides him being just an icon, a legend in black society, if you want to just talk about basketball, the reason he didn't score 20 points a game is because he didn't have to score 20 points a game. He did
where his role was to be a
exactly
defensive player to start the break, to get people in position. But when it came down to winning these games, it was Russell who was winning the games.
Absolutely, and they needed it. So now, of course, we all feel like this guy's a problem, but let's talk about Draymond Green. Are we so in Gilbert Arenas' logic? Draymond Green is not a Hall of Fame player, shouldn't be, and Draymond Green is absolutely a Hall of Fame, or should at least have Hall of Fame consideration. I think he's
players to ever play the game.
Exactly, I think he's a Hall of Famer. But in Gilbert Arenas' mind, then he couldn't be a Hall of Famer, which is absolute nonsense. So you're right. I agree with you. Come on, Gilbert. Like, you can't compare errors, because comparing errors is always going to catch you up, because you're always going to be caught in a trick bag where you're just like, well, that's the whole LeBron. Is LeBron better than Jordan? Is Jordan better than LeBron? Well, what about Kobe? What about Shaq? Like, who's the greatest ever?
Right.
Like, it's just, you just can't do it. So,
hey, man, I give it another couple years before people be saying Jordan couldn't play in today's game. They're already saying it.
I was about to say, they say that now.
They're saying that now because he couldn't shoot the three. He didn't have an amazing handle. Jordan wouldn't be dominating in today's game. I'll
tell you, look, this might be hypocritical, but I tell you what is fact. LeBron couldn't play in the 80s and 90s because
he would have been crying.
You think he's looking for fouls now?
Right. Yo, they were having full fist fights and then go ahead and play the game again.
That's why we all love Draymond. That's why we all love Draymond choking out Rudy Gobert, because it reminded us of old school Pistons.
Yo, they was having full fist fights.
Full blow.
They break them up. Like, all right.
Remember Jeff Van Gundy holding on to Alonzo Mourning's leg when him and Larry Johnson was fighting?
They was fighting. I saw a clip. Daryl Dawkins and Maurice Lucas was in center court, bobbing and weaving, and neither one of them got thrown out of the game. This is an NBA Finals game.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar waiting for a dude to get a rebound just to steal him from behind.
Just walked up and punched him right in the face. They might have gave him 5 games.
So it might be a little hypocritical for us to say that, but you see how silly it is to compare errors. You just can't compare errors. You have to go on with them on the merit of what they've done in their time and their era. So I completely agree with. Come on, Gilbert. My come on, yo, is, I was at the game last week, the Cleveland game, and I'm sure every stadium does it, but to get you hyped, they throw out stats for your team that you can see, and I'm just like, come on, yo. some of these stats are ridiculous. Like, okay, so John Harbaugh is undefeated on Thursday night as a Ravens coach.
That's all they talked about yesterday.
Got it. Great stat. That's an amazing stat. That's a tangible stat. That's a stat that you can look at and see, hey, so when we play Thursday night, this is a good stat. The Ravens are very good in prime time. So that includes Sunday night, Monday night. Thursday, very good stat. Amazing stat. But when you're at the stadium, you start seeing stats like Lamar Jackson is the third best quarterback on deep throws on Tuesdays when they're wearing black jerseys. What? Wait, what?
Right.
What? What are you talking about? Like, how am I supposed to?
Right.
So now when Lamar Jackson throws the deep ball and they miss it, he's like, he's wearing the purple jersey. If he'd have had on the black jersey, he'd have hit that one. He'd have hit that one. I mean,
Wednesday at 5:00.
I guess and ESPN is guilty of it too. ESPN is guilty of it too. So Anthony Davis probably has the most rebounds when they're at home on days where he has not been injured week prior to him taking the court.
He's always injured, so he's in street clothes now.
Wait, Carl Anthony Towns has the most points when Jimmy Butler isn't playing on the team, but also is not playing at home in Miami.
Right.
I mean, it's like, numbers don't lie, but numbers can kind of be manipulated to what you want them to be. And shout out to the media of the Ravens and every other team that wants you to see that, hey, you got some decent players on it. But can we just get some real stats? That's all we want. Come on, yo. We just need real stats. We don't need all these tangibles, these variables. We just need real stats. But we appreciate your effort anyway. But come on, yo. Stop it.
Real stats.
It's like a weird flex sometimes. Sometimes I'm at the stadium reading. I'm like, this is such a weird flex. Like it's such a weird flex. And then some of them, they do it. And then sometimes you're just like, it's so random. Like they had yesterday. Who was the Ravens' first touchdown on a Thursday night game? And it was Eric Rett. Who remembers Eric Rett? First of all, he spells his name E-R-I-C-K-T.
He was 32. Eric Rett. Yeah, I
was actually at that game though. That was against the Chiefs. I was at that game.
He was he went to Florida. They were terrible then.
They were really bad. That was he came in after Van Marsh went to Kansas City. And I remember that game because Ray Lewis came around and popped the hell out of Van Marsh. And the Ravens lost that game. Real quick story about that game. So that was a game that I took a date to, and all day we were preparing for it. And I call her, and I was at Value City. If you remember Value City, I was like, "Hey, I picked you up a Ravens jersey, and I also got you a Ravens skull cap and gloves." She was like, "Skull cap and gloves? Where's the game?" I said, "It's downtown at the new stadium." She said, "Is that outside?" I was like, yes. She said, "Wait a minute. I didn't know it was going to be outside. It's cold. They don't play under no dome and not." I was like, "Bitch, you ever seen a dome downtown?"
So they playing in the Civic Center?
I don't know what she thought, man. But then she was like, "I don't think I'm going to be."
Harbor Place?
She said, "I don't think I'm going to be able to go." And this was back in the 90s, like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Transferring no tickets.
Exactly. I was like, bitch, I paid $50 for these tickets. With now $50, you ain't even getting parked. I paid $50 for these tickets. You gonna go to this game? But it was cold that day. It was cold.
Did she go?
Hell yeah, she went. The fuck? What was I going to do? I couldn't text nobody and see if they wanted the tickets. Right. I just bought them. Wasn't no Cash App.
Right. Right.
And that was the game we went to. It was that Kansas City Thursday night game, and it was cold. I ain't even going to lie. It was cold at that game. And they had the nerve to lose the game, too. They lost to Kansas City. But Ray Lewis did pop Van Mars in that game.
It's outside.
She was literally like, "It's outside? What? They don't play in no dome or nothing?"
She thought she had meant the basketball where they shoot it up. They shoot it up and the thingy.
It's how long ago I wasn't even on a cell phone. I was on a pay phone saying, bitch, you ever seen the dome downtown?
Did you page her and put in 69 for her to call you back? Is that your code?
Yeah, I think I'm doing something, getting her some Ravens gear, the hat and the gloves and shit. And she, she all like,
you got it from Value City.
Value City, son. Value City or Route 41. Matter of fact, the jersey was a Jonathan Ogden jersey.
Wow. They didn't even have no good players. The only jerseys they were selling were offensive lineman jerseys.
We had Ray Lewis at the time.
Yeah, but he wasn't the Ray Lewis that we know and love now.
He was building up to be. He was building up to be.
But the biggest draft pick was Jonathan.
But no, actually, that was after the Super Bowl win. It was early 2000s because Bam was Bam on that first Super Bowl team. No, he wasn't. I'm lying.
Bam was with them when they was at Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, and Bam. The thing I remember about Bam was when they beat the Redskins. And we were saying that they beat the Redskins because they put a crack rock in the end zone, and Bam ran to that.
He was on them substances.
Wait, one more real quick story about me dating at M&T. So I take this other girl to the stadium some years later. And we sitting there watching the game every season. So we sitting there watching the game against the Bengals, as a matter of fact. So Ed Reed had just got an interception and tried to run in the end zone, but he was styling. And I forgot who came down. It wasn't Hushmanzada, but he knocked the ball out, and it was a touchback, and he didn't get it. So I'm looking. So we all booing, and I'm just like, dang, he young. He'll get it together soon. And Lord knows Ed Reed got it together. But I look at her, and she just has this smile on her face, and the whole time she's just staring, head back and forth. I was like, you okay? She was like, yeah. I said, you having a good time? She's like, yeah. She said, it's hard for me to keep up with the ball, though. And I was like, yeah, there's the ball right there. I'm trying to show her. And she was like, well, where's the man at? I said, man? I said, what man? She said, the man that be on TV that tell you everything that's going on. I was like, bitch, we at the stadium. We not inside the TV, technically. You thought somebody would be on the intercom.
My wife thought the yellow first down line is actually really shown on the thing. So she said, is that yellow line on the field too? It's like, no, baby, that's just for TV.
Hey, shout out to women, because women are a lot more savvy and into football and sports now. A lot of them know just as much, if not more, of what's going on than we do. But I've had some times with some chicks that just, the one that thought we had a dome downtown really got me. I was just like, girl, are you serious? What they say, the dating pool got pee in it. Well, it don't. I'm not dating anymore. Hey man, another good show. We rocking out on a Friday afternoon, early evening. So thank you all for joining us.
Yes, sir.
And as you know, this is live on YouTube if you're watching it, but you can catch it on all the podcast platforms. That will be Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, any podcast platform we are on there. And of course, like we told you before, December 1st, that Raising Canaan's coming back, season 3 of Raising Canaan. So shortly after that, we will start our Raising Canaan breakdown. So make sure you definitely watch that and keep supporting us. Make sure you join the podcast, subscribe to YouTube, subscribe on the podcast platform. Just support us. I mean, we coming into the new year, so make sure you support us. Anything you want to say to the people before we bounce out?
Nah, everyone have a great Thanksgiving, and be safe in whatever you're doing.
That absolutely, definitely have a great Thanksgiving. I completely forgot about that.
You have been listening to Fanboys, an all things black with Garland and Calvin production. Thank you for listening, And make sure to rate and review this episode on all of your podcast platforms.
All right, Garland.